Be starting.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om.
We seek blessings on the eve of course, it's not a eve post Guru Purnima. Your blessings on the entire our study circle, Swamiji.
Our blessing, Sadguru's blessing is always there. Gurudev always blesses us. These sessions that we are having, that itself is a blessing.
Right, Swamiji.
So he blesses us in abundance.
Yeah.
Only thing is that our patra has to be upright to gather as much as possible, not upside down.
Yes, Swamiji. As Chinmayanand Swami said, that you are like a bee, you must open up your petals, to receive the Guru's grace.
So Guru's grace and blessings are always there.
Yes.
And our Shraddha and surrender has to be there. Then we can benefit from that as much as possible.
Yeah.
But if that is not there, it is like a vessel kept upside down in the rain. It will not get a drop of water. So that was a happy Guru Purnima.
Thank you. Thank you. We cannot say we should the same, Swamiji.
Well, I already sent that article on Guru Purnima Day, Guru the Spiritual Guide. All of you must have read it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I have circulated in WhatsApp group, Swamiji.
But you must have read it. So now everybody knows where the Sadguru, Absolute Truth, God and the Seeker stand. They are all one and the same. So there is no such thing as the only thing is that the Sadguru or God, he knows who he is and we do not know who we are.
Correct.
So God knows he is God. We do not know we are God. Sadguru knows he is the absolute truth. We do not know we are absolute truth. That is the only difference.
This is exactly what Satya Sai Baba says that.
So the difference is only this much. So what we need to do is that we have to open our Jnana Chakshu, the eye of wisdom, to perceive the truth, to realize the truth. Ignorance is what is causing us all the problem. So now we have been studying the scriptures for last more than 2 years together. And of course, during this time, many of the things, many of the wrong notions, many of the wrong concepts, ideas, and whatever we thought of about God, about the absolute truth, about our own self. So all those things, many of them have gone now. Actually, when we come to Vedanta, and if lifelong we have been on the path of devotion, it quite a bit agitates the mind because many things go against our notions and concepts that we have formed about God, about the spiritual path, about the absolute truth, about Guru, about our own self. So many of those concepts, one by one, they get destroyed. The ideas or notions, whatever it is, they get one by one destroyed. So of course, that obviously will agitate our mind. But then we have to go through this process, understand it very clearly. And when the understanding is clear, then there is no problem. Then a bhakta becomes a jnani becomes a bhakta, and there is no difference between a jnani and a bhakta. Like Sant Tukaram Maharaj, a bhakta became a jnani. Like Sant Namdev Maharaj, a bhakta became a jnani. So today we'll be taking up a text, a new text will be starting. And this is part of Upanishad. Upanishad is the highest text in our scriptures. We have different sources of knowledge. The highest source of knowledge is Shruti. Shruti, the other word for Shruti, other name for Shruti is Vedas. And in that Vedas also, the highest is Upanishad. Vedas are of course divided into 4 sections: Mantra, Brahmana, Aranyaka, and Upanishad. Upanishad comes at the end of the Vedas, so therefore it is also called as Vedanta, which comes at the end of the Vedas. That is the highest source of knowledge. The next to it is that because Upanishad is not very easy to understand, so the same truth is diluted a little bit and given in the Smriti Granthas. So we have the various Smritis, 4 major Smritis are there. They are called as Dharma Shastras also. So Manu Smriti, Yajnavalkya Smriti, Sankhya and Likita Smriti, and then Parashar Smriti. So for different yugas, different Smritis. Manu Smriti is for Satyuga. Yajnavalkya Smriti is for Treta Yuga or Treta Yuga. Then Sankhya and Likita Smriti for Dwapar Yuga and Parashar Smriti for Kali Yuga. So this is the second source of knowledge. The same that is given in the Vedas, Shruti Grantha, that is again the same absolute truth is given in a more diluted form. Again, in Smriti Granthas are also called as Dharma Shastras because apart from that absolute truth, it also gives the rules and regulations of how to live in a society. What are the different dharmas? What is the Raja Dharma? What is the Praja Dharma? What is the Pati Dharma? What is the Patni Dharma? What is the Pita Dharma? What is the Matru Dharma? What is the Putra Dharma? And so on. So different dharmas, different duties related to each other. That is also given there. And various rituals, day-to-day living and all that. Then Treta Yuga. But again, Satyuga is the longest period. So Manusmriti is applicable in the Satyuga. As the Satyuga, 50% of the Satyuga finishes, then slowly we are moving towards the Treta Yuga. The time changes, the conditions change, and therefore then the rules and regulations also have to be updated to be suitable to the changing times, changing conditionings, and so on. Therefore, then there are Upasmritis also are there. Then from time to time, a new lawgiver comes, he makes certain changes in the existing book of law, the Smriti Grantha, and then he gives the changes in a different book that is called as Upasmriti. So there are 4 Smritis and there are 14 Upasmritis. So total 18 Smriti Granthas are there. So since Satyuga is the longest, so Satyuga has got a maximum Upasmritis also. So that has to be amended. We cannot follow the same thing continuously when with the changing times. Now Indian Constitution was made in 1950. Now it is 72 years since the Constitution was made. And there are many things that have happened now which were not existing in 1950. And therefore it was not in the Constitution. Like for example, cyber crime didn't exist in 1950. So there are no rules and regulations, laws or code against the cyber crime also, or how this internet or IT has to be operated and what type of crimes can be committed in the internet and the laws and rules and regulations against that, and the criminal, if cyber crime is committed, the punishment and all that thing in the Indian Penal Code. So that was not there in 1950. So again, it has to be amended, and then this has to be added to that. So similarly, the conditions change, the times change, and therefore from time to time, the Smriti Granthas, the new lawgiver will come and he make adjustment to the existing Smriti Grantha. The Upasmritis come up like that. So there are 14 Upasmritis. So after Manusmriti, then in Treta Yuga, Yajnavalkya Smriti is there. Then we come to Dwapar Yuga. We have Sankhya and Likhita Smriti that will be applicable to the Dwapar Yuga. And then, of course, in the Kali Yuga is the shortest period, and Kali Yuga, Parashar Smriti is applicable. So what it means is that the conditions that were prevailing at the time of Satyuga is not prevailing now. So all the laws and rules and regulations that were given in Manusmriti cannot be applicable in the Kali Yuga. This has to be very clear. Many people wrongly talk about Manusmriti. They say Manusmriti, this is said and that is said, and that is quite offending. That is not possible, and this and that. But one has to be clear. Sanatana Dharma is the most adaptive religion in the world for every time period, every era. So therefore, there are different sets of rules and regulations for different era. So Manusmriti, not a single law, rule or regulation will be applicable in Kali Yuga. Of course, the absolute truth remains the same in the all four yugas. That doesn't change. But the rules and regulations governing the day-to-day life of the people, that will change according to the changed situation and conditions as the yuga passes. So this has to be very clear. So first source of knowledge is Shruti, and second source is Smriti. Third source of knowledge, of course, is the Puranas. So that is further diluted. In the Vedic period, there were no these gods and goddesses. They came during the Puranic time. So 18 Puranas are there, Bhagavad Mahapuran, and then there are so many other Puranas, Vishnu Puran, Brahma Puran, Shiv Puran, Devi Puran, and all that. So in the Puranas, same truth is spoken about, but now it is told in the form of stories of various deities, gods and goddesses, so that it is easier to comprehend and understand. And then when Kali Yuga came, at that time, it is very difficult to comprehend. So the third source of knowledge is the Puranas. First is Shruti, second is Smriti, third is Puranas. Then the fourth source of knowledge is the Itihasas. Itihas here means Ramayana and Mahabharata. So these are the four major sources of knowledge. Same truth is told about, explained in all the four sources of knowledge, Shruti, Smriti, Puranas and Itihasas, only in a diluted form where it will be more comprehensible, understandable. And then there is, of course, the fifth source of knowledge. Fifth source of knowledge is all the compositions and the writings of great saints, sages and masters who have very much simplified the knowledge given in the Shruti, Smriti, Puranas and the Itihasas, so that a lay person can also understand. So this is the fifth source of knowledge. So therefore, but the highest source of knowledge is Shruti Grantha. If while reading a text by any great Mahatma, if there is a doubt, then we have to go to the Itihasas to clarify that doubt. And if the Itihasas cannot clarify the doubt, Ramayana and Mahabharata, then we have to go to the Puranas. If Puranas cannot clarify our doubt, then we have to go to the Smriti Granthas. And if Smriti Granthas cannot clarify our doubt, then we have to go to the Shruti Mata, the last Vedas, the Shruti Grantha. And in Shruti also, Vedanta or the Upanishad is the highest authority, highest source of knowledge. So whatever is told by that highest source has to be accepted. That is no other source beyond that. So that has to be accepted. So this is the hierarchy given. So now, since we are going to take up this study of this Upanishad, Amritbindu Upanishad, it is a small text of only 22 mantras. So a little background was required. Now, first let us understand the meaning of the word Upanishad. It is made up of, etymologically, the word is split into three parts: Upa, Mi, and Shad. So Shad is sitting and Upa is nearby, close, and Mi is devotedly, one can say. So the meaning is that that knowledge which is acquired by sitting close to the one who is imparting the knowledge and learning with commitment, understanding with commitment. Me is devotedly or nishchayena, with commitment, Upanishad. So this is generally the meaning given. Upa, Mi, and Shad. Shad, to sit nearby, close by. Upa is sitting close by. And then Mi, nishchayena, or devotedly with commitment. Now, here it is very clear that somebody is sitting close by the source of knowledge to know. That means this knowledge is not to be announced publicly. The very meaning of that word Upanishad means this knowledge is such that we have to sit very close to the one who is imparting this knowledge and to be acquired. So it is a secret knowledge, not to be publicly spoken of. It is imparted to an adhikari, one who is qualified for this knowledge. Because the problem with this particular knowledge is that why it is only imparted, should be imparted to only the adhikaris. Because if this knowledge is not understood, there is no problem. If it is understood very well, no problem. But the problem arises when it is misunderstood or misapplied, misunderstood and misapplied. Therefore, they are very particular that it should not be imparted to an adhikari. But the problem is that somebody who comes to study the Upanishad, somebody may say that, okay, among all the scriptural texts, Upanishads are the highest. So I don't want to study all the minor textbooks of Sanatana Dharma, the Prakarana Granthas and all those things, forget about. I will directly go to that Upanishad. But one who is not prepared for that knowledge, because all the Prakarana Granthas prepare us for the Prasthantraya Grantha. In the Prakarana Grantha comes this Tattva Bodh, Atma Bodh, Vivek Chudamani, Panchadashi. They are all Prakarana Granthas. So they prepare us for the Prasthantraya Grantha. Prasthantraya Grantha comprises of Upanishad, Brahma Sutra, and Bhagavad Gita. So they prepare us. Now, if we have not done anything of that and directly go into Upanishad, so then if our preparation is not, unless of course somebody who has done all the studies in the past life itself, then it need not go for a proper study also, proper scriptural study also. They can realize just like that. Like Nisaratta Maharaj, he didn't study scriptures in this life. Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi didn't study the scriptures in his life systematically. He realized the truth because they had acquired everything in their past life. If that is not the case, then of course studying Upanishad directly will cause harm. Then it is misunderstood and misapplied because our mind is very funny and it will do kutarka when it is not understood. And moreover, Upanishadic language will come across that now in this text itself. It talks in contradictions also. And that is what irritates the seeker. So when it is talking in contradictions, then it is difficult to come. What is that? In one place, in the same sentence, it is saying like this, and then exactly diametrically opposite thing it is saying. It cannot be the thought of, but you have to think over it. What is that? Diametrically opposite. You see? So therefore, one has to be very, very careful. The precaution is given that it should not be imparted to one who is not ready for knowledge. One of the two things will happen. If he doesn't understand, then he'll stop attending the discourse for the class or stop reading the text. This is too confusing, I can't understand. Forget it. But then if he misunderstands, then the problem starts. If he understands, very good. But if he misunderstands, all his problems will start. So he will neither be here nor there, like that. So this nishchayena, so therefore this has to be imparted. Actually, yoga and Vedanta, they are not for public. One has to be very clear here. Yoga and Vedanta is not for public discourse. Yoga also is taught. When we say yoga, yoga means Hatha Yoga, or the other yogas are there, Kundalini Yoga and all that. So that is also taught on one-to-one basis, not in the public. Similarly, Vedanta is also taught on one-to-one basis, not for the public. In the public, you can have Ram Katha. In the public, you can have Bhagavad Mahapuran. That Katha you can have in public. Ramcharit Manas you can have in public. Bhajan Kirtan you can have in public. But yoga and Vedanta is not for public. It is for one-to-one, on one-to-one basis. So therefore, Upanishad, sitting close to the source of knowledge, and this we have to listen to that. Shravana sadhana we have to do properly. So this is what it is. The knowledge of this Upanishad is regarded as a mystery, and therefore there is a full scope of misunderstanding or misapplied in a situation like that. Adi Shankaracharya ji has also defined Upanishad as that which leads to Brahmadhyana, or the knowledge of that absolute truth, the pure self, of Brahman. Then our Swami Dayanand Saraswati, was the foremost disciple of Swami Chinmani, Dayanand Saraswati, who founded that Arsha Vidya. So he has defined Upanishad in a different way. He says that Upa is Samipyena, Samipyena being close, and Ni is Nitarama, Upani, and Shad. Shad is Stitam. So Samipyena Nitaram Stitam. So Upa Nishad, Ni and Shad. Samipyena Nitaram Stitam. So what does that mean? Always there as oneself alone is that liberation, that moksha in the form of Brahma Swarupa. So he defines that Upa, Ni, Shad. Always there as oneself. This is always there as oneself alone. And that is liberation or moksha in the form of one's own self as Brahma Swarupa. So this is the, if you break down the word Upanishad, this is what it comes in. So broadly we can understand the meaning of Upa, Ni and Shad. Now there is one Upanishad called as Muktiko Upanishad. In Muktiko Upanishad, it is said that there are 1180 Upanishads. One Upanishad for each Shakha. There are 4 Vedas, Rigved, Yajurved, Samved and Atharvaved, 4 Vedas. And maximum, of course, the Shakhas are in the Rigved, this one, Samaveda, maximum Shakhas. So according to that, the Upanishads are there. I will not go into detail of that. 1180 Upanishads. But what is known today, this Theosophical Society, a Theosophical Publishing House in Adyar, they brought out about 200 Upanishads. Out of which again 108 Upanishads are complete with the commentary, with the Bhashya. 108 Upanishads out of that. Then out of those 108 Upanishads also, Adi Shankaracharya wrote commentary on 10 Upanishads. And those 10 Upanishads are considered, because he wrote commentary on that, so therefore it is considered the major Upanishad. That doesn't mean that though other Upanishads are called sometimes referred to as minor Upanishad, the knowledge given there is nothing like minor. It is also about the absolute truth alone. So from the 4 Vedas, he selected 10 Upanishads, and then those 10 Upanishads he gave the commentary on. Rig Veda, which is the most ancient Vedas, from there he selected Aittiriya Upanishad, which comes from Rig Veda. Then we have in Yajur Veda, there are 2 sections, Krishna Yajur Veda and Shukla Yajur Veda. So in Krishna Yajur Veda, there is Taittiriya Upanishad and Katha Upanishad comes from the Krishna Yajur Veda. And from the Shukla Yajur Veda, we have the Ishavasya Upanishad and Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So, and these 4 comes from the Yajur Veda. Then the Sama Veda. Kenu Upanishad and Chandogya Upanishad has been taken from Sama Veda. And the last Atharva Veda, which is the latest of the Vedas out of the 4, Atharva Veda. So there we have the 3 Upanishads he selected from that. Mundaka Upanishad, Prashna Upanishad and Mandukya Upanishad. So this way we have 10 Upanishads from the 4 different Vedas. Of course, Yajur Veda having 2 sections, Krishna Yajur Veda and Shukla Yajur Veda. So now, in brief, we have seen about this Upanishad. We have understood the meaning of Upanishad and how many Upanishads are there. So 108 are available with full commentary, and out of that 10 major ones. So generally we say 10-12 of these Upanishads. So there are minor, the other Upanishads also we can study. Amritbindu Upanishad also again doesn't come in the 10 major Upanishads. But it is no less an Upanishad, no less a giver of the absolute truth. Now Amritbindu, again there are 5 Bindu Upanishad in Atharva Veda. There is one Nada Bindu Upanishad, Brahma Bindu Upanishad, Tejo Bindu Upanishad, then Dhyana Upanishad, Dhyana Bindu Upanishad, and this Amritbindu Upanishad. So Amrit, everybody knows the meaning of Amrit, the celestial ambrosia. If anybody partakes of that, they become immortal. Now immortal in the sense that a very long life. So the meaning of Amrit itself is deathless and timeless. Deathless means timeless. That is not limited by time, beyond time. So, and Bindu is a drop. Amrit Bindu. So a drop of that ambrosia. So if one partakes of that drop of that ambrosia, one becomes immortal. Now one has to understand this. What is this Amrit? This Amrit is not some liquid, we partake a drop of that. This Amrit is nothing but that absolute knowledge, the knowledge of the self. So, realizing the knowledge of the self, we become immortal. Then there is no, we get out of the birth and repeated birth and death cycle. So, therefore, it is called as Amrita. So, Amrita doesn't mean that there is some liquid somewhere and we have to partake of that. This itself is Amrita. So, when we listen to that, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, when we do that and realize the self, we become immortal. Because that self is beyond birth and death. We go beyond the cycle of birth and death. So this is the brief introduction of this Amritbindu Upanishad. Then Upanishad and Amritbindu Upanishad. Then there is the invocation prayer. What is this prayer? Om Bhadram Karneभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्ट्वागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेमहि देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः Swasti nastarksho arishthanemihi. Swasti no bruhaspati dadhatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This prayer we must have heard earlier also. Om. All our prayers begin with Om. Om is the primordial sound. The sound that was heard by Brahma first. First thing he heard was this sound Om. This Om also, we begin our prayer with that, and of course it is a symbol of the absolute truth also. Param Satya, Paramatma, or absolute truth. So, now, Om. Bhadram Karnebihi Shrunayama Devaha. So it is addressed to Devaha, O gods. Bhadram Karnebi. Bhadram means auspicious. Karnebi, through the years. Shrunayama, hear. So, O gods, may we hear that which is auspicious by our ears. Bhadram Karnebi Shrunayama Devaha. How beautiful it is. So throughout, every day in the morning we should chant this, so that throughout the day we should hear. It is a prayer to the Lord that we should always hear auspicious. Bhadram Karnebi Shrunayama Devaha. Then Bhadram Pashyema Aksha Bihi Yajatraha. So Bhadram Pashyema. Yajatraha is the worshipful ones. So may we always see all that which is auspicious. Bhadram. So we should always see with our eyes all that is auspicious. We should always hear with our ears all that is auspicious. There is a prayer to the Lord. Then, Sthiraihi Angaihi Tushtuvagum Sastanubihi Tanubihi. So, Sthiraihi Angaihi, with the healthy limbs, and of course, Tanubihi, with the gross physical body also. All the limbs and the gross physical body with healthy body. That means this is a prayer to the Lord to keep our body also healthy for their worship. So, with the healthy limbs and the body, so may we always live offering praises to you. Sirai Angais Vishtuvagam Sastanubhihi. So always offering our praises to you. Then, Vyashemahi Devahitam Yad Ayuhu. Vyashemahi Devahitam Yad Ayuhu. So that means we should live our entire life. We should live our entire life and in our worship to the deities, to benefit the deities, in the service of the deities. So, Devahitam Yadayuhu. Then, Swastina Indro Buddhashravaha. Swasti. Swasti means also well-being. Swasti means healthy also. Swastha, well-being. Swasti is also blessing. So, Swastinaha Indraha Vruddhashravaha. Vruddhashravaha means the most ancient. Vruddhashravaha. May that most ancient Indraha bless us. Ancient and famous. He bless us. Swastina Pusha Vishwavedaha. So Pusha is the sun. Sun is also referred to as that which does the poshana, or that which nourishes us. Because without sunlight, nothing will grow on this planet. For all the plants to grow and fructify, give us fruits, and all that thing, they can process something called as through photosynthesis. With the help of the sunlight, they prepare food, and then all the animals and human beings partake of that. So without that sunlight that is needed for the process of photosynthesis, that is not possible. So sun is also called as Pusha, means the one who does the Poshana, who feeds or nourishes all the beings on this planet. So again, we seek blessings from him. Vishwa Vedaha, that is the knower, all knowing, the one who has all the knowledge, knowing, all knowing. So Vishwa Vedaha. Then Swastinah Takshaha Arishtanemi. Taksha is the Garuda or the eagle. Garuda is the Vahana, and Garuda is supposed to be the fastest bird in this world. Taksha. So, and may he also bless us. Now, Arishtanemihi, may he bless us, because to get rid of all the obstacles that may be there. So this Garuda is prayed to, he is the Lord of swift motion. So he should bless us by removing all the obstacles that may be there on our path. So the remover of all obstacles. Then Swastina Brahaspatihi Dadatu. Swastina Brahaspati. Brahaspati is the Guru of all the deities. So he is the Guru of all the deities. And also he is the protector of the spiritual wealth. So we seek blessings from him also. Then Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So this is at the end of the prayer in Sanatana Dharma. Shanti is invoked thrice. So now we are very much familiar with that. 3 times why it is called Shanti. Once was enough, Shanti, but 3 times, because we suffer because of 3 types of tapa. First one is the Adidaivik tapa. Adidaivik tapa, that comes from the elements. That is storms, volcanoes, earthquakes, floods, or drought. So these are the Adidaivik tapa. So we are praying that this tapa, they should be calm. They should not manifest this tapa, Adidaivik tapa. Then Adibhautik tapa. Adibhautik tapa, that comes from our surroundings, from the things and beings around us. They are there to give us also tapa. Not only Adidaivik tapa we suffer from, but then our surroundings, there are many beings around us also. Mosquitoes are there, flies are there, ants are there. Then apart from that, of course, the fellow human beings also. The enemies, those who are jealous, and things like that. We derive tapa from them also. So that is Adibhautik tapa. So we are praying for that tapa also, not to manifest in our lives. To calm down that tapa also, if it has already manifested. Then the third is the Adhyatmik tapa. Adhyatmik tapa is the trouble that comes from our own body and mind. The physical and the psychological. We have 2 that is outside, the Adidaivik and the Adibhautik. But then we think that only the outside world troubles us. Or these Adidaivik tap only troubles us, or outside world people are all those, they trouble us. But our own body also troubles us. And our mind troubles us the most. So we are praying that this Adhyatmik tapa also should calm down and not trouble us. So these 3 types of tapa, we are asking to calm down. Peace, 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 Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So this is the invocation prayer. Every text in Sanatana Dharma, it starts with a prayer, an invocation prayer. We saw in Atma Bodh also started with that Prata Smarami, this Sanskritatma Tattvam, and is also a very good prayer. So similarly, many of these texts they start with prayer, and Upanishads also. So, with the short introduction and the invocation prayer, now we move on to the first shloka. So, now in this Upanishad, the first shloka that now this is generally, all the Upanishads are in the dialogue form between the Guru and the disciple. Here specifically that is not mentioned. Who is the Guru and who is the disciple in this particular Upanishad has not been mentioned. But yet it can be assumed that it is in a dialogue form and the disciple is asking the questions and the answer is given by the Guru systematically. So the first thing that a disciple who is an adhikari would ask is, because one thing that troubles us the most, more than the body also, is our mind. Of course, the physical health issue no doubt troubles us, but the worst is the psychological health issues. Now, those who suffer from anxiety, nervous tension, panic attacks, stress, depression, they know they may be physically healthy, but the psychological health issues, that is terrible for them. So worse than the physical health is the psychological health. And therefore, more important than the physical health is the psychological health. And the most important is the spiritual health. So mind is the one which troubles us the most. And therefore, the first shloka begins. The Guru is telling us about this mind. First shloka. Manohi vividam proktam shuddham cha shuddham evacha ashuddham kama sankalpam shuddham kama vivarjitam. Manahi dividam proktam shuddham cha ashuddham evacha ashuddham kama sankalpam shuddham kama vivarjitam. The first Guru starts imparting this knowledge and he begins with the mind. Because our mind should be ready for this knowledge. First preparation is for the mind, the purification of the mind. So here he says that Manaha hi dvividam proktam. It is said that there are two types of mind. Manahi dvividam proktam shuddham cha ashuddham eva cha. So there are two types of mind. That is Shuddha and Ashuddha. There is a story also that comes in the Puranas. In fact, Swami Tejamanji has mentioned it in this Ashya also. The four Brahmakumaras, Sanandanam, Sanat Kumar, and Sanatana. They are the four Manas Putras, born out of the mind of Brahmaji. So, these four Putras, they approached Brahmaji and asked him how to separate mind from the Vishayas, mind from the objects. Vishayas. So, of course, Brahmaji also won't answer. So, he said that let us pray to the Lord. Then they prayed to the Lord, and Lord manifested in the form of Hamsa, swan. And then he imparted the knowledge regarding this mind and the Vishayas. And that knowledge which he imparted, that is given in the text called Hamsa Gita. So that can be also studied, Hamsa Gita, it must be available also. So in this Hamsa Gita, what the Lord said was that actually we have to find out whom does the mind or its vishayas, its object belong to. First inquire into that. Whose are the objects? Whose is the mind? To whom they belong to? Do they belong to you? Do they belong to a jiva? And where do they disappear? Both the mind as well as the objects. Where do they disappear in the deep sleep state? So first inquire very clearly. Whom do they belong to? So, and knowing that, then of course we have to transcend both the mind and the objects as well. Mana. Now this word comes from the root, Sanskrit root man. From man comes mana. So man means to think. So mana, that is what the thinking is done. Mana, to think. So mana is nothing but the flow of thought. Without the flow of thought, there is no existence for the mind. In the absence of thought, there is no mind state. There is no mind. When a thought manifests, mind is active. In the absence of thought, there is no mind. Like that it is. So, now what is it that makes the mind impure? Ashuddham kama sankalpam. Shuddham kama vivarjitam. Now here in the shloka, it is clearly said that kama sankalpam is ashuddha. Kama sankalpam means the thoughts regarding desire to acquire, desire for any particular object, whether in terms of place, time, people, relationships, things, or a particular conditions, the weather conditions or the surroundings or the financial conditions or the health and so on. So kama sankalpa, a desire for anything. See, there are desires also. There are different types of desires. Tamasic desire, rajasic desire, sattvic desire, adhyatmic desire. So they all come under the category of desire. Even a desire for moksha, a desire for liberation is also a desire. But that comes under the adhyatmic desire. And at some point in time on the spiritual path, when we progress, when we evolve, we progress, then of course that desire also vanishes after that. That desire also doesn't remain. But compared to tamasic desire, rajasic desire is better than tamasic. Compared to rajasic, sattvic desire is better. And compared to sattvic, adhyatmic desire is better. Now what are these different types of desire? Tamasic desire is, I have everything available to me. There is nothing lacking. Abundant wealth, all objects of indulgences, everything is available there abundantly. There is no short, nothing. But my joy, pleasure, or happiness comes by troubling others, like the Rakshasas. The Rakshasas also had everything at their disposal. They were also wealthy, everything was available to them. But their joy, pleasure, or happiness came out of troubling others. So that is called as tamasic kamana, a desire to trouble others, even though they are not harming you and you have got everything available to you. But no, I desire pleasure by troubling others. So this is called as tamasic kamana. Then we have rajasic kamana. Rajasic kamana means what? I am focused on my own happiness. So I fulfill those desires which gives me pleasure, but I don't trouble anybody else for my desire. For my happiness, I don't trouble anyone else. So this way, okay, rajasic desire, this is that this person is a little selfish, but at least he is not troubling others. So that is better than tamasic. Then comes sattvic desire. Sattvic desire is, I want to be happy and I want to see all those who are around me, they should also be happy. So then I'll be involved into social service and things like that. So I ensure that I am happy and I help others also to be happy. So I want to see them also happy. So that is good sattvic desire. So I want to be happy and I want to see others also happy and I help them also. So that is sattvic desire, better than rajasic desire, not being selfish. Then better than sattvic is the adhyatmic desire. Adhyatmic desire is I have no desire for anything else but to know my own self. That is adhyatmic desire. To know the self, to realize the self, to realize that absolute truth. That is adhyatmic desire. At some point in time, even this is also a desire. This is also a kama sankalpam. But it is better than the other three, definitely. And at some point in time, that will also disappear. We will not know when it disappears. As we progress, and then slowly it will disappear also. So, ashuddham kama sankalpam. So, kama sankalpam, that is the desire. Why it is called as kama sankalpa is called as ashuddham. I have a desire for something. Why should it be ashuddha? Because there is a problem with this ashuddha kama sankalpa. The problem is that when a desire manifests in the mind, that desire will not allow us to keep quiet. The moment a desire manifests in our mind, we'll become restless until we fulfill that desire. So, the desire has manifested, then until we fulfill that desire, we'll be restless. Then we'll get up, we'll be into karmas, into action, and the action may give us the desired result or may not give us the desired result, and it will go like that. And if we have got the desired result, and if the experience was good, then we want to repeat it. And then if we are not able to repeat it, again the mind is restless. We want to repeat it and we are not getting an opportunity to repeat that. Again the mind becomes restless. So, ashuddha kama sankalpam. So these vishayas, the mind becomes extrovert, going out, running after the objects. And then it becomes agitated and restless because there will be plenty of obstacles getting these objects. So there will be plenty of obstacles there. So fulfilling that is not easy. So at any given moment in time, if a desire has manifested, then there will be restlessness, there will be agitations, and then there will be depression, frustration. Then I'm doing so many things, but I am unable to fulfill that. I am unable to get what I want. So there will be frustration, then resulting in depression and anxiety. When a karma we do and we are waiting for the desired result, then there is an anxiety and there is a nervous tension. And if the result doesn't come, then there is a panic attack also. And the whole thing gives us a stress. So this is how, that is why the Guru here in this particular shloka, he tells that ashuddham kama sankalpa. Everything starts with that kama sankalpa. And of course, then the desire, to get over that desire, then we have to have a vivek also. Unless we are very clear, without any shadow of doubt, that there is absolutely no iota of joy, pleasure or happiness in the external world, in the Ananta Koti Brahmanda, anywhere, unless there is, that thing is very clear in our mind. Nothing in the external world can give us permanent happiness. Until that viveka becomes very firm in our mind will keep running in the outside world, acquiring this, getting that, maybe I'll be happy with this, maybe I should experience that, I have never seen that, let me experience that. It will go on like that. So viveka has to be there, analysis has to be there. Whatever is my object of desire, why do I desire that particular object? I feel that I derive some kind of joy, pleasure or happiness. Let me analyze whether there is really any joy, pleasure or happiness in that object. And then when I analyze it thoroughly, I come to the conclusion that absolutely there is no iota of any joy, pleasure or happiness in that particular object. It is my stupid mind which has projected some pleasure, joy or happiness in that. And then I imagine that when I indulge in that, I'm getting some kind of pleasure, joy or happiness. It's my own imagination because my mind has projected it. If there is an inherent joy, pleasure, or happiness in that object, it should give equal amount of joy, pleasure, or happiness to everybody who uses that, who indulges in that. But that is not the case. You see? So therefore, this with Viveka Buddhi only, we can overcome that. We just cannot overcome, the desires will keep coming. But if that Viveka is there, then only that Vairagya that comes after Viveka, that will be lasting. Otherwise, that is a Smashan Vairagya only, which lasts for a few minutes when we see a dead body burning in the funeral pyre, on the funeral pyre in Samshan. And that is only for a few minutes. After that, that Vairagya is gone. That Smashan Vairagya or Avesh Vairagya doesn't help. It has to be a Vairagya born out of Viveka. Strong Viveka, proper analysis, proper understanding, and coming to our own conclusion. So it is only our imagination, our projections, that there is some kind of joy here and some kind of pleasure there and all that nonsense. So that is the problem. And another thing is that we don't understand, depending on external object for pleasure. Ashuddham Kama Sankalpa. How one by one the problem starts. When we depend on external object for our joy, pleasure, or happiness, then again it will cause us more problems, because that object doesn't remain the same at all times. It will reduce in quantity, it will reduce in quality, it may get lost, it may get exhausted, it may get stolen. And so many things are there. And then if that happens again, our mind is agitated and restless, and we are into depression and frustration and things like that. And so this thing will continue like that. And any kind of dependency is a kind of bondage. And any kind of bondage is a cause of misery. One has to understand that. Actually, we do not want to be bound. By nature, nobody wants to be bound. Everybody wants to be free and act the way, any which way they want to act. But then we ourselves bind ourselves to these objects. Oh, I cannot live without this thing. I cannot live without that thing. I cannot live without this person. And then what happens if that person dies? Then we have to see, when somebody's places, somebody dies, and I don't know why they invite me there. But then I have to go as a sannyasi. So what will I do there? I just go there and chant. The person has already died. When he was alive, we should have attended satsang, but that has not happened. But now I have to chant Bhagavad Gita chapter 8 there. And then you have to see the scenery there. The crying and wailing and weeping and all that thing. And what will happen to me now? How will I live? And then after a couple of weeks, you see that person. That person is living much better than what it was earlier. Everything moves. It is only we say that I cannot do without it, I cannot do without that, and I cannot live without this, and all that thing is nonsense. Over a period of time, time heals everything. Should give time. So the thing is that any kind of dependency is a cause of bondage. Any kind of bondage is a cause of sorrow, misery, pain. So, Ashuddham Kama Sankalpam. We should not be dependent on anything. We may be using certain things as a routine, but if that thing is not available to us, we should not get restless. Oh, that is not available to me. Now what will I do? If it is not there, it is not there. That's it. If it is there, you use it. If it is not there, you don't use it. That's it. What's the big deal? Definitely will not die if that thing is not there. So this is what the thing is. Those who get addicted to drugs and all that thing, then they become desperate. So this dependency should not be there. And then we only imagine that there is some sukha or something like that, but it is only an imagination. So that makes our mind impure. Is Ashuddha Kama Sankalpa. Makes our mind impure. Then it leads to Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, that follows. So when a desire arises, then we have to fulfill it. And if there is an obstacle between us and our object of desire, that anger wells in. Then when we become angry, we may act in a manner we live to regret. Because in anger, our mind doesn't work, our intellect doesn't work. Then we'll act in a way that we live to regret about it. And suppose we have a desire and we acted on that and we fulfilled it and we enjoyed it, the experience was good, then there will be a greed to repeat it, lobha. So kama, then krodha, then lobha. There will be a greed for that. Then when there is a kama, krodha and lobha, then we get deluded, moha. And then when we have the object of our desire in abundance at our disposal, then we are mother. Then we have mother. Mother is arrogance. I have this much. I am a crorepati. I am a millionaire. I am a billionaire. I have this thing. I have that thing. And this is mother. That is arrogance. And if somebody else has got more than us, then matsarya, then jealousy. So these are the different modifications of the mind that goes on. It all starts with the karma. If the karma is not there, then the other things will not follow. So that is ashuddha, kama sankalpa. And we become obsessed and become addicted to that and all that thing. So desire is that makes our mind not only impure, but it also makes our mind sad, unhappy with desires. And then shuddham kama vivarjitam. So a mind which is desireless, always happy and cheerful, because there is no sankalpa, there is no projection. Projection of happiness in the external world is not that. Desire means a projection of happiness in the external world. So that is not there. So if that projection is not there, then we are not involved into karma to fulfill that desire. So that is good. So mind is calm, at rest, peaceful. So therefore, ashuddham kama sankalpam, shuddham kama vivarjitam. So that mind which is without the kama sankalpa, without the desire, that becomes pure, because all these agitations will not be there. Unnecessary agitations and projections and depression and frustration, all these things will not be there. Shuddham kama vivarjitam. So this is the first shloka, and then we'll take up the next shloka in our next session. So if anybody has got any questions on whatever we have covered now, so you can ask.
Anybody has got any question? Yogi Bhai, Vimal ji?
It's a bit too premature yet to I feel there's a need to progress more on the book to understand in depth. It is somewhat getting in, but it has to, the questions, like how Swamiji said that it is said one way and contradicted the other way. We have to face the battle.
Yeah, the contradictions is just coming now. We have not faced it as yet.
That's why till then I only hope that whatever I've learned in the past does not get blasted off.
So when the contradiction comes, if it was not an online thing, offline thing, I would have seen the faces then.
Swamiji,
We can all put on our videos, Swamiji, for that.
You can put your mask so nobody knows.
No, there's no mask at home, Swamiji. Not required.
No. If it is not an online class, but an offline class, satsang going on, then I could see everybody, no? When the contradiction comes in the mantras, then I would like to see the face.
That's why right now it's too premature to at least, raise any question. Let it come to
right
the
now. Right now, though, everybody's videos are off, so nobody's face is seen. So we do not know, and then we will not make out. But on one-to-one basis in front, then everything is seen. So anyway, this will come.
Swamiji,
Yes.
today was a net practice. we are going to face the fast ball in the real match.
The bouncers will come. Sometimes the beamers will also come.
Yeah.
Hari Om, Swamiji.
Hari Om.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, go ahead.
To find out pure and impure thoughts, we require intelligence, isn't it? So mind and intelligence goes hand in hand. Can we say that? Or we don't require intelligence? Our thoughts are just coming and going. But do this intelligence have any role in projecting all thoughts, or it is mind's product it is?
See, the thing is that in the first shloka, Guru very clearly said, Ashuddham kama sankalpam, Shuddham kama vivarjitam. This is what Guru just said. So, kama sankalpa is the impurity. Nothing else. Kama sankalpa is the impurity, and everything is related to that one. And kama vivarjita is the purity. So, everything is related to that only. So, now to get rid of kama, then we have to have viveka. Viveka we have to have. With viveka, we can get rid of the desire. When we see the negative side of certain things, then only a desire for that object will go away. Unless we see the negative side of that, the desire will not go away. If you are fully focused on only on the positive side, even if there is only one good quality in that and 99 bad quality, but our focus is fully on that one good quality, the desire for that object will not go. We'll ignore that 99 bad qualities in that. You see? So therefore, viveka is very important. And with that, if viveka has come, then kama sankalpa will not be there. And with that, the mind will not get agitated. It will remain at rest, cheerful, at peace, and an apt equipment for this knowledge. If the mind is agitated, then it will keep wandering here and there. So, and this is a very subtle subject, and the mind has to be fully focused on that. Then only we will be able to grasp it. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for us. Therefore, the first condition that he is putting, Guru is putting, is that a pure mind. So, that is Shuddha Kama Vivarjita. This is what.
Yeah, but do buddhi play any important role? Vivek, like when we say Vivek comes from buddhi, intelligent only, no? Viveka buddhi, when we say that we should have that Vivek buddhi to discriminate between good and bad, pure and impure. Like, so do the thoughts only just come, or intelligent also plays the role?
You see, in our scriptures, they have made a subtle division between this mind and the intellect. Antakarana is the one thing which they are divided into four things. Of course, one is the ahankara in that. That is there throughout. And then they have made a subtle division between mind and the intellect, and then the memory, chitta, mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankara. So, and then they have given definitions of all this. So, chitta is the memory, mind is of the nature of sankalpa vikalpa, which cannot decide whether I should do or I shouldn't do, I should go or I shouldn't go. So, that is of the nature of sankalpa vikalpa. And buddhi has been defined as when we arrive at the right decision, a definite one, nishchaya. So then it is called as buddhi's function. It is not that there are four sections to this antakarana, and one section is operating or the other section is operating, depending upon what thought is going on. When somebody is extremely emotional, that means the mind is active. When somebody has come to a firm decision, then intellect is active. Or when one is analyzing a particular thing properly, logically analyzing that, rationally analyzing that, then intellect is active. So like that, by the actions, or one is jogging his own memory, then chitta is active. And throughout the three, mana, buddhi, chitta, ego is anyway involved in all the three. So like that it is. So there is a subtle divisions they have made. Otherwise, it is all one only, one equipment only, that antakarana. So depending upon what kind of thoughts are entertained, whether you are analyzing rationally, then your intellect is active, whether you are emotional, then your mind is active, or whether you are in the duvidha, sankalpa vikalpa, then mind is active. So that is how, depending upon what is going on inside, then we say that whether intellect is active or mind is active or chitta is active.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Swamiji, in that case, Antakaran may help us in the beginning, but we have to suspend the Antakaran if somebody wants to know what the God is. All the subjective experience it wants to take. Antakaran will not help at all, isn't it, Swamiji?
Yeah, that is what in Hansa Gita, the Lord says that when the question was put to the Lord that how to separate the Vishaya and Mana, mind and the objects, how to separate that. And what he says that first, find out whom do they belong to, mind as well as the objects, number one. Number two, when they do not belong to you, the next course of action is transcending the mind itself. Transcending the mind and the object itself, going beyond the mind and the object, transcending them. Because if they can be transcended temporarily, unknowingly, in the deep sleep state, in the waking plane of consciousness also it should happen. In the deep sleep state, there is absence of mind and the objects. So if it can be absent in the deep sleep state, why not in the waking plane of consciousness? Why can't we transcend the same mind, intellect, equipment, and the objects in the waking plane of consciousness, the transcending? So in Hansa Gita, the Lord talks about transcending the mind itself. Instead of trying to separate mind and the object, let us separate object from the mind or pull out the mind from the object. Don't do that, all that fight. Just transcend the mind. Let the object and the mind remain wherever they are. Who cares about it? Transcend it. That is the solution he gives in Hamsa Gita. Transcend it. And we can transcend. If in the deep sleep state we can go beyond the objects and the mind, then in the waking plane of consciousness also we should be able to go. And that will be the samadhi state when we transcend intellect.
Thank you, Swamiji.
So shall we conclude?
Yes, Swamiji.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Hari Om.